guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Lauren. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm just doing a palette collection video. I thought I would share with you all the palettes that are currently in my makeup collection. I'm not decluttering them. It's not like a hybrid video. It is literally a collection video. So that's what we're gonna do. It is a big collection. I have a lot of palettes and there were a few reasons I wanted to do this. One, I kind of wanted to have this inventory in a way at the beginning of the year, kind of archiving what's in my current collection right now as of, you know, January 2022, so that I can look back on it, see how it's changed throughout the year or even years. Like if I come back in a couple of years, I've been looking at some videos of my collection back in like 2016, and so it's just like interesting to see the difference, you know? I also have this very loose kind of challenge, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but I am kind of tracking all the palettes that I use throughout the year and just keeping a tally of that on the side, just kind of to know what are the palettes that I reach for, what do I use multiple times, what did I not reach for at all. So that's something I'm just tracking this year in 2022. And so with that, I thought this would be fun to kind of get reacquainted with things. Like if I forgot I had some stuff, I don't know, just kind of appreciate, love, and get excited for the palettes that I have in my collection. And when I did this, I also thought it would be interesting just to see how many of my palettes are PR. So I'm actually gonna give you numbers right now because I decided I'm gonna do this overhead instead of showing each palette. I think that will be maybe a little bit more relaxing to do, so I hope you guys enjoy that choice. But for numbers, I currently have 142 palettes in my collection. Now that is counting anything with 3 or more shadows in it, so my small palettes, my large palettes, everything that is a pre-made eyeshadow palette, that is what I counted in here, so it is a lot. And as for PR, 51 of those palettes were sent to me from companies because I do YouTube, so over a third of the palettes that I have, if you want to know percentages and we're doing math, that's 36% of my collection. Now when we're getting into these numbers, honestly, I don't know what they mean, and I am actually in a different place than I've been in a long time or in the past, where I don't really have like any type of feeling associated with the number. Like I don't feel happy that I have a huge collection. I don't necessarily feel like bad that I have a big collection. Same with the PR, like it doesn't necessarily matter how much is PR, but I do think it's interesting just to know how many palettes basically I wouldn't necessarily have if they weren't sent to me for free, whereas the other ones I specifically purchased or bought myself. But yeah, really I've been in just a different place with my makeup and wanting to enjoy it, and I think that's part of why I want to do this video. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into the palettes. I'm gonna be going by brand, so that's how I'm gonna have the timestamps down below in case you want to like switch around, see what I have, whatever. But it's gonna be a long one, so I hope you enjoy the video. And with all of that, let's just get into it. All right guys, let's get started on the palettes. I'm not going in any particular order, but I am gonna be doing everything by brand. So yeah, we're gonna start with Urban Decay. This is the Party Favor palette. This came out in 2019, but I actually picked it up more recently, last year. So this is the Moon Dust formula, and it's a neutral mini palette. It's honestly what my dreams are made of. I think Spaced is my favorite shade, but there's a lot of really pretty ones in here, and they're all very, very sparkly, beautiful shadows. So that is Party Favor. Really happy I got this one. And I don't plan to necessarily swatch everything, so yeah, it would just take too long. So we'll see what I actually end up doing, but I don't plan on it. Anyway, the next one is the Urban Decay Wired palette. I believe this is no longer available. This was sent to me in PR, so yeah, I was super happy. Savage is one of my favorite colors. I love this pink. It's like a hot, light, bright pink. I've created some really pretty looks with this palette, but I know overall it did not get the best reception, and I definitely think there was something to be desired if you're trying to get like the most pigmented, bold colors out of this. That's not what this is, especially when you think of other things on the market. But I still keep this for that pink shade because I've decluttered since my original like electric palette. And my last palette from Urban Decay is the Stoned Vibes palette. I love this one so much. It's one of my favorite palettes, probably, yeah, that they've done. I mean, I just love this one. I love the shimmer shades in here. I think they're beautiful. I used this actually more recently just to kind of make sure I really, really loved it still. And yeah, I do. I love the shimmers. I love the 4 mattes that are in here, and I thought it was really well done. And I really hope in 2022 they do more stuff like this. I don't know, play around with this kind of formula they have going on and see what happens. But I guess we'll see what 2022 brings. And this palette was PR. I hope you guys don't mind the wood background. It's already getting dirty, but I thought I would switch it up than just the white. But anyway, this is from Dose of Colors. It's my only Dose of Colors palette. I got this recently in December. They sent this out to me, but I picked it. And this is the Donald and Daisy palette. So it's kind of a hybrid. It does have like a face product in here, but it also has 6 eyeshadows. I was really excited to get my hands on this because it has just some fun shades. I feel like it's a really pretty neutral yet not neutral type of palette. And so yeah, that's the Donald and Daisy palette, the only one I have from Dose. Next I have Ace Beaute. I have 2 palettes from Ace Beaute, and these are the older formulation. I know they have since come out with a new formula, but this is the Oceanic palette, and it is a blue-green palette. So beautiful, such a great array, I think, also of different blues and greens. I think they kind of cover so many different bases. So I love having that one in my collection. The other one is the Falling For You palette, and I actually got this in a BoxyCharm. I did a look with this recently. It was like in a Shop My Stash, and it was such a pretty look. I was really happy. I think actually this might be the new formula. I think that might actually be the case where this Falling For You is the new formula Ace Beaute, but I really thought the look was beautiful, and it was definitely a win of a BoxyCharm item for me. So that's the Falling For You palette. And both of those I bought because I pay for my BoxyCharm. Next, this is a little one-off palette from Glaminatrix. It's an Australian indie brand, I believe. This is the Silent Night palette, and I did pick this up for the holidays. Like, I don't have any other like Christmas themed palette, but I wanted to get this one. Such beautiful shades. I've never tried anything from the brand outside of this, and the shadows are like so stunning. They have a beautiful Instagram account really showing off their shadows. This is a multi-chrome. I mean, just beautiful stuff. So I'm glad I picked it up. It's a nice small palette. I'm really excited to see what their next launch will be because they kind of tease that it'll be a neutral palette, and y'all know I'm into the neutral, so we'll see how it goes. But really excited to try more from the brand, and I bought that. Sorry if that gets annoying, but it's kind of a piece of this video, and I think technically we should actually do that in every video. So anyway, this is from KVD, and I bought this. This is the Edge of Reality, I think, palette, and this is a stunning palette. I really like this. If you're into more neutrals, but maybe a little bit of color, you want some nice finishes, I've really enjoyed this one. So I love that one. And that's my only KVD palette. Next I have Lethal. I have a few different Lethal palettes. So first we'll start off with the Lethal is Dead palette in collaboration with Teresa is Dead here on YouTube. I picked this one up last year, so I bought this one, but I do have actually a code with Lethal. Really beautiful, fun palette. Wanted to pick that one up. Next, this is the Berlin 89 palette. This one was sent in PR. This is mostly mattes. It has a few shimmers and then this multi-chrome called Breakthrough. And yeah, I think I have a video also dedicated to this if you want to see full swatches. Next, this is the Velvet Dusk, I believe, palette. And I bought this one. I just love the color story. And I wanted to try more from Lethal. So I believe all of the single shadows though you can buy individually, which I think is awesome. I think their Instagram is also a really great place for inspiration if you like to rearrange your single shadows. So that is Velvet Dusk. And then I also wanted to get the After Dark, I believe. And this one's a lot brighter. It has this beautiful hot pink. I really like Lethal's mattes. So yeah, that is the After Dark palette. This is another one-off. This is from Zoeva, and it's the Aristo palette. I just love this. I think there's something simple about this color story and yet so beautiful. I love the kind of two-tone looks you can do, and it just always sticks through like declutters. And I think that's something that I'm just realizing, like, I don't know why I feel weird about decluttering this one. It's like when I look at it, I get inspired and I like it. So I don't know. I'm like letting go of the need to feel like I can't have things that I already have and bought, which I did purchase that. Next, I have one palette from Makeup by Mario. I do have a quad coming to me, but I don't have it currently, so we're just gonna go with the one. But this is the Master Metallics palette. It is so pretty. I am so glad I finally picked this one up. I think that it's just stunning. It's just like what I thought it was gonna be, but it just took me a while to like finally convince myself to get it. In some ways, it's kind of like nothing special. In other ways, there's something special about it to me. So I am very happy with that one. Next, let's do Huda Beauty. I have 3 palettes from Huda Beauty. This is the Rose Quartz. You guys already know I have this and that I love it. It was a big win for me in 2021. So love this. I have a video on it. I have a video like duping out the special shades. Like there's quite a few different videos I feel like with this. Very happy with that. Makes me want to check out the Naughty Nudes or just the Naughty palette that she has. The other 2 palettes are from the Neon collection. So this is the Neon Pink. So stunning and beautiful. And then this is the Neon Orange. And yeah, I think the mattes in here, those neon mattes are really beautiful. The shimmers are also stunning. A way better formula though is in the bigger palette than I feel like the shimmer formula on these ones. But I keep them around because they are quite unique and I definitely can get the looks I want to from them, even if they're not like just a dream, if that makes sense. Next, I have one palette from r.e.m. Beauty. This is the Midnight Snack palette. It's this cute little, like, I don't know, 6-pan, I guess. And I have a video using this as well if you want to check it out. But I think it's cute. Like, I don't have a desire at the moment to get anything else from the brand. We'll see what like the phase 2 of the collection is. But at the moment, this has like hard pan already. This is doing it, you know, this is fine. I don't know, I still like it. Let's do an expensive one. I have 2 Pat McGrath palettes. This is what I have. I have the Bronze Seduction, which was my first palette. And it's one of the only palettes that I have kept the packaging because it's so beautiful. I can't not. But it comes in this lacquered packaging and inside, let's turn it the right way. This is what it looks like. These flaky shades, just nothing compares to these astral shades. Seriously. This one's like a wet look. They're so stunning and they make me keep this palette even though, you know, I'm not a huge fan of maybe some of the other colors in there. But, you know, I have had my moment with luxury and, you know, Natasha Denona, which we'll get into later in the video. And so it's another reason that sometimes it's nice to keep things as your tastes change. But the other Pat McGrath palette that I have, this was the 2021 holiday palette, the Celestial Odyssey. And I also think this is just a beautiful palette, especially for people who don't have a ton of Pat McGrath. I think it's just beautiful. Little like ornaments is what I think of them because it was the holiday palette. And I'm very happy with this palette, especially too with the price. And it went on even more sale. Like if you snagged this for like 50 bucks, good on you. Okay, anyway, that's Pat McGrath. Next, I'm going to talk about my Sydney Grace palettes. I have the Full Temptalia collection. I don't know the order. I'm not sure. I guess we'll do them one at a time. This one is the Quintessence Light. All of mine are in the light version. And so that's what it looks like. Really beautiful. I have a video swatching all of these and also comparing them because I do find that they all have similar tones, although none of the shadows are like necessarily exact dupes. This one's on the Horizon and that's what that one looks like. And then last, this is Radiant Reflection. And I really feel like, I don't know what it is. These just like are pretty messy in here. I don't know why these shadows are just like, I don't know. A little bit messy, but I definitely found that to be the case. And I was a little nervous about it too. Some of them seemed like they were pushing up. And I don't feel like I have that exact problem with like the actual singles from Sydney Grace. So I don't know. Anyway, and then the other one I have, which I'm so happy to have, is the Tiny Marvels palette, which was in collaboration with Mel Thompson. And, you know, it just makes it even more special to have this palette now. And you know, have a little piece of Mel in my collection and kind of savor that moment. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, I have a video on this palette as well. Let's do Sugarpill next. I have 2 Sugarpill palettes. They're like in the same kind of collection. So this is the original Fun Size palette, such a beautiful one. And then this is the Fun Size 2, which I picked up mostly because I loved the Fun Size original. And I know a lot of you guys knew that. So I wanted to kind of compare the second one and and they're both really beautiful. They are mattes, which I find, you know, are great companion ones for me, especially because these are such beautiful and kind of different shades. But yeah, that is Sugarpill. I want them to do some like beautiful shimmery shades. That would be awesome from Sugarpill. Next, this is the Patrick Ta, I think it's the Major Dimension palette, and this is a neutral palette with some beautiful like textured shimmers as well as quite a few mattes in here as well. Yeah, I think this is a nice palette. I definitely want to use it more this year. And really, this is one of the things that started me like realizing like, wait, oh, I'm attracted to the neutral palettes now. So yeah, that's the Patrick Ta palette. And that's my only one, and I purchased that. Oh shoot. I purchased all my Sydney Grays. I purchased my Pat McGrath. I think that's all I've missed. But yeah, I don't know how my description box is gonna look. I don't know if I'm gonna actually like list all these because that sounds like a nightmare. But if I do list everything, I'll try to put little asterisks so it's easy to reference there as well. Anyway, next let's talk about this disappointment, the MAC Feast Your Eyes. Yeah, Feast Your Eyes from the Tempting Fate collection, I believe. Really beautiful. I just don't love it. So yeah, we'll see how long that stays. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed with this guy. Another one-off palette. This is from Holika Holika. It's the Everyday is My Birthday palette, and this was actually PR. I really love this. It's very like one tone monochromatic, but I find it makes really beautiful looks, and I do tend to love these kind of terracotta peachy shades on my eyes, so I keep that one around. This next one is from Alter Ego. This is the Goddess palette, which is a dupe of the Natasha Denona Gold. I have a video comparing this to the Gold, so you can check that out if you're interested. This was sent to me in PR, and it's my only Alter Ego palette. It's kind of stayed around, but now that I have the Gold, I'm not sure how much longer this is gonna stay because, you know, I have the Gold and I've already done the video comparing them, but we'll see. Not really, again, not a declutter, just showing you what I have. Just showing you what I have. Oh my gosh. One of my shadows like exploded on everything, so it's kind of a disaster, you guys. Next, this is from Fenty. It's my only Fenty palette. I purchased this, but it came through like a BoxyCharm, and this is the Moroccan Spice palette. I really actually like this. I know that this does not get the best reviews. You can't even buy it anymore, it doesn't matter, but I really hope Fenty does more of these like sparkly shades, things she did in like the Galaxy palette that she did as well. So that's the Moroccan Spice. I have two palettes from Dede's Signature. These were sent to me in PR very recently. The most recent palette is the Neutral Wonder palette, and this is a half matte, half sparkly palette, and the shimmers are really quite beautiful. I'm excited to really dig into this one. So yeah, ooh, so pretty. So that is the Neutral Wonder. I guess I'll swatch them really fast. Very pretty. And then this little quad is so cute. It's called the Pumpkin Spice palette, and it has 4 shades, but I just think it's such a well done little quad, and you know it's getting me with this like duochrome. I love those types of shades. It reminds me of, I think, Chandelier is the shade from Cleona, but yeah, that's the Pumpkin Spice quad. Let's do some bigger groupings, I guess. I feel like the ones that I have more of tend to be PR, but let's do Sigma next. I have 6 palettes from Sigma. All of these were sent to me in PR. First, we have the Enchanted palette. This is a beautiful palette. I have like done a duping, and I definitely have some really beautiful like singles that can do this, but I do think that there's still something quite pretty about this palette. I don't know, I just love the tones in here. Next is the Ambiance palette, and this is like a warm neutral. Very, very beautiful as well. Marigold is definitely like, I think, the star of the show. So pretty and sparkly. And then we have, in that same formatting, the Cinderella palette, and I also think this one's beautiful. Every look I've ever done with this has come out really, really beautiful. So that's the Cinderella palette. And then these 3, I actually had a few more of them, and I decluttered, I think, half of the ones that came in these squares. I initially decluttered all of them, but then I brought a few back once I realized, oh, I like neutrals now. So this is the Fiery 9 pan. It's like a warm neutral palette. This is the Ivy palette, which has that kind of Secret Garden green situation going on. And then last from Sigma, this is the Spicy palette. Another neutral, but not as warm as Fiery. I'll put them next to each other since they're right here. So Fiery is definitely warmer than the spicy, although the names wouldn't necessarily let you know any difference. I think my newest palette that I have with me is the Northern Lights palette from Simply Posh. This came in, I don't know, a couple days ago. Such a beautiful palette. It's all shimmer, really stunning, like pigment. This is like why I don't get why Urban Decay can't do this. You know what I mean? I think that's something I think about is like, how can this brand do it and charge me $30? Like, how come Urban Decay can't? Anyway, really happy with this, and I'm definitely gonna be looking out for more from the brand. And I purchased this. Next, let's talk about Glamlite. I've purchased all my Glamlite stuff, and I started with this palette. Oh, you can't even see it all. This is the Ice Cream Dream, and it has like the sparkles in it. It's so cute. This is what it looks like. It's hard for me. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little so you can see. Okay, so this is the palette, quite a large one for me, but I love it. I really do. I think the shimmers in here are just stunning, and this kind of started me on like wanting to pick up more from Glamlite and try more from them. So that was the Ice Cream Dream. Then I bought the Michaela palette, and I bought this because I'm just a sucker for like basically this half of the palette. Like I just think it's so pretty, although, you know, I love the neutrals as well. I haven't given this nearly as much love. It took a while to get here because I bought it off like, it had already sold out and then it's pre-order. It was like a whole thing. Michaela, I guess, is pretty popular. Anyway, I think it's just a beautiful one. I think the formula is still the same. I'm very happy with it still, but yeah, that's the Michaela palette. And then from the, I don't know if it was just the Martini collection or I don't remember the name of this exact one, but I bought 2 palettes out of the 4. So this is the Dirty Martini palette. So pretty. What a beautiful green. I think this is so pretty. I have a whole video on it too if you want to see. And that's also showcasing the Chocolate Martini palette. And this is a really beautiful neutral, but it still packs a punch, you know, like there is a whole purple in here. This is quite pink. There's like an orange, like, you know, these aren't like traditional neutral colors. So you can still get something kind of colorful with this one. But I do really love the Glamlite formula. And so it's a brand that, you know, depending on the color story and the theming, I look out for what they have and see if something might be right for me. Next, this is my only Ciate London palette. Isn't it the cutest little thing? Like, oh my gosh, it's so freaking cute. Anyway, this is the Wink On Smiley palette. I bought this from a BoxyCharm thing, so it was a pretty good deal. Really a nice palette. Like, it has some pretty colors in here. I definitely think Ciate London has a decent formula, so it's another brand that, like, I don't know why I'm like hopeful that maybe something could happen. Like, I just feel like Ciate London has so much potential. I really wish they would like use it, like use their potential for good. But anyway, I have that one. This is my only Alamar Cosmetics palette. I have the Spanglish. I really want to get the Encanto. I think it's just so pretty. It's still on my mind, so I might pick that one up later, but really a beautiful one, a fun color story, and it was an amazing deal on BoxyCharm, so that's why I picked it up. I think it was like $6, like, you know, for $6, I couldn't say no. I'm gonna get a bunch of little like one-off palettes out of the way. So next, this is the Jungle Lights palette from Flower Beauty. It's my only Flower Beauty eyeshadow palette. Love this, so pretty. Like, so pigmented, kind of like this metallic formula, but I feel like it shears out nicely as well. So I really love that. I want to get the Desert Lights palette too. That's on my list. This is like an oldie, you guys. I found this and it was unopened and I was like, you know what? I want to get that. So I'm actually going to open it because it's still sealed. Let's do this together. I just was having this nostalgia moment. And when I found this, I was like, wow, this is like a beautiful neutral palette though. Like for me today. Like what? Like, do you guys remember this blue brown being like it? Like, we loved this. Man, just so many makeup memories, you know? So many makeup memories with this. But anyway, Comfort Zone palette from Wet n Wild. Yes, my only Wet n Wild. Next, this is from Wander Beauty. It's the Wondrous Fling palette. Again, this is just a nice compact little palette I want to try out. I did buy this one and I love that it had the purple, and I've just been into also this like satin type of thing where it doesn't have to be the most shiny thing. I kind of like it just being a one shadow look and that type of stuff. So I picked that one up. And usually these kind of like random ones I can find on really great deals. So that's like also kind of a factor, I guess. I have some little quads. So we'll start with the Roen quads. I love these. I plan on getting more of these this year. This is the Mood Forever palette. And then this one is the 1111. If you're looking for more texture, 1111 definitely offers that more than Mood Forever. But I love this shade specifically in Mood Forever. So I don't know. You have to make your decision. But I want to pick up the newest one. I think it's called Gold Lust. And I also am interested in the older two as well. So I love these. They're so nice. Very expensive. I like finding them on a deal if I can, but I do think they're worth it full price too. And then I have two Charlotte Tilbury quads. My favorite one is the Exaggerize. I just think this is so pretty. Like, it looks kind of basic. It looks kind of boring, but on my eyes, really beautiful. I know I have some different videos with this. And then the other one, this was like a gift with purchase, not this Black Friday, but like 2020 Black Friday. And this is the Sophia Bella palette. So those are the two quads that I have from Charlotte Tilbury. Some more one-offs. I have the Beaute Bean, which I believe is Baddie Bean now, is Betty Jean's channel. Anyway, this is her collaboration with Shroud. It's Freakin' Bats palette. Mine's a little bit dusty because it broke a little, but such a stunning color story. I really love that one. So that's that palette, my only one from Shroud. I have this palette from Shine by SD. This is one I actually bought. Like, I get a lot of PR from Shine by SD and singles, but I actually went out and bought this. It has some like leaking, unfortunately. I find that sometimes with those indie shadows, it just happens, and this one did it pretty bad. But I loved that the Enchantment palette, at the time when I bought this, I think it was like 30 bucks, and I was excited to get her formula and her shadows for 30 bucks for 9 shadows. I know they can be kind of expensive, and I thought the color story was so pretty. So yeah, that's the Enchantment palette from Shine by SD, my only palette from her. And then next, this is the Flare palette from It's Belle. This is like the second palette that I think they've come out with, really. I'm also getting, you can see here, that leaking on Rosewater, but another just stunning all shimmer, beautiful palette, kind of similar to the Northern Lights one as well. So yeah, I really think this is stunning too. I definitely look out for It's Belle releases because they do those duochrome shimmers, you know, I love. Next, we're gonna do a pretty big one. This is all my Oden's Eye palettes, or these are all my Oden's Eye palettes. I have a video ranking these, so I'll leave that, or try to. I'll try to leave all these videos, but definitely check out the other, I got a lot of videos, so check those out. But these are all PR, so everything I have from Oden's Eye is PR. This brand and Kaleidos is one of the brands that, although I do get a lot of PR, I know that I would probably own quite a few regardless. But anyway, let's just start with this. This is the Giant Wolves palette in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner. Beautiful, beautiful palette. I don't think this one's available anymore, but I do think that Tina's palette, so pretty, the Hummingbird palette, is available if you're interested. I have a code with Oden's Eye too if you want to save some money, but stunning, stunning palette. And then there's also Judy's palette, the Red Dragon palette, which is a great one if you want something more neutral. So yeah, I have those ones. I have these like mini palettes. We have this Erd palette. It's more green toned and smaller also. Then this is the Scold palette. This one reminds me of like the Natasha Denona Circle Loco. That's what I always say. But it's all shimmer. And then this is the Verdandi palette, and it's a little bit more neutral. But even this, you can see how, you know, the oil. I've just found that like any of those really beautiful shimmery kind of shadows tend to have some oil spillage going on. I have some Saga of Freya stuff. So this is the Tears of Freya palette. and it's more romantic and kind of pink and purple. And then this is the Cat with the Golden Carriage palette, which has the greens and the mints and the oranges. And then there's the like dual one, which is kind of both of those, like variations of those palettes, but in one. So on the one side is more of the romantic side again, and then the other side is more orange and green. So yeah, there's that one. Then some of the older palettes from Oden's Eye. This is the Freya palette. I really love this. Like these tones I love. So I love a terracotta peachy shade. Then this is the Norns palette. This one's definitely great for a cool tone or like deeper shades, kind of something a little bit unexpected. Again, I don't know if you can see some of the oil seeping out from these. Anyway, and then this is the Alva, which, spoiler, is my number one. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you really can see the oil. Anyway, Alva, I love this one. And that's all my Oden's Eye stuff. Okay, next let's do Lorac. I bought all my Lorac stuff, so I purchased all of this. I have a video on this one, the Fairy Tale Forest. Really pretty neutral palette. I really like this. I'm very happy with it. Definitely gets me excited for more Lorac palettes to come out. Then I have two of the, I think these are more like the permanent little palettes, like the 6 pans. This one is Simmering. Really great kind of warmer neutral. Then we have Sparkling, which is more of like a cooler rosy mauve one. And then along with the Fairy Tale Forest palette, where these 3 palettes, these came out, Winter Rose, very similar to the Sparkling palette. I did a comparison in a past video, but some of the shades were kind of exact, so you don't need both for sure. Then Frosted Sequoia is more like neutral, love that one. And then probably my favorite one is Mystic Oak, which is a lot more cool toned. This shade is just so special. I love that one. Next we have NYX Cosmetics, and these are all sent in PR from Look Fantastic, but we'll start with this, the Ultimate Brights palette. This was on my list for a very long time, and I think it's a great one if you don't love like color a ton, but you want some decent options. I think this is nice. Like I like this palette. I like the colors. It's a softer color that you're gonna get, you know, but I actually prefer that. I think that's why the Wired palette works out as well, because I like having a little bit more control and kind of building up those colors. But yeah, Ultimate Brights. This one is one that I just think is so pretty. The Mystic Petals. There's something kind of sultry about this one. So yeah, I have Mystic Petals, but this is, I think, the Dark Mystic. There's a couple in that, I think, series. And then last, this bigger one, this is the Modern Dreamer palette, and I think this is really pretty. I think I would prefer maybe the Utopia palette, but I still think this is beautiful, just big, you know, just kind of a lot. But again, it's more affordable too, so there's that. I don't know. I feel like though, potentially like the ColourPop bigger palettes are better options because you can take those singles out and then rearrange them. It's kind of like the Natasha Denona thing. And these are like, you know, stuck in the pans. That's the only thing. I think that the ColourPop would be better. Anyway, okay, that's what I have from NYX. Next is BH Cosmetics. I have a few of the square palettes. These are the 16 pan palettes. This is the Blueberry Muffin. Such a beautiful one. I'm really happy I have that. Really cool toned, neutral and blue. Another one I'm really happy though, this Smitten in Switzerland. I didn't realize, but this is like not available anymore. At least not in the US. So that's Smitten in Switzerland. Really pretty, like basically neutral, but a little bit of color. And then last for that kind of series and in that format is the Lost in Los Angeles palette. Really bright, fun. There's some like textural shades in here. I've really enjoyed that one too. And then kind of the OG here, the Zodiac original palette. I can't just, you know, never can bring myself to get rid of it. I just think it's really stunning, and the baked formula holds up, man. It really does hold up. It's stunning. So I keep it around. All right, next I have one palette. I'm only counting one palette from Menagerie. This is the Serenity palette in collaboration again with Annette Makeup Corner. It's really pretty, like rainbow palette. I do also have like the shell of the Violet Ink palette, which I believe is discontinued at this point, but one of the shades in there completely busted open. That's the shade that's kind of tainted everything. And so really I don't have that full palette anymore. It's more of like something I can use to put shadows in. So I'm not mentioning it here is what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, another one-off palette that I have, this is the Beauty Bay Book of Magic, and this is another just beautiful color story. I really like this one. I think Beauty Bay comes out with actually quite a few really pretty palettes, but it's the only one that sucked me in so far, and that's because the price was $7 when I purchased this, like such a good price. And I did buy Menagerie too. I'm really trying to remember. It's so tough. Next, I have some palettes from Kailav, formerly known as Huda Beauty. These are all PR except for one, so I'll get to that when I get to it. But this first one is the Impressionism palette, and it is really beautiful. I think this brand has really solid mattes, really solid shimmer shades. I really like the formula. I actually prefer, though, these smaller 9-pan palettes. Those are probably my fave. So I have the Triumph of Venus. This was sent over to me. What a fun, unique color story. Like, I just think it's so pretty. I got my hands on the Le Jardin. This is the volume 2, and this is the one I purchased. They did send it to me as well, but I purchased it because I want to make sure I got it. I missed out on the first one, and so I was like, I'm gonna get this just in case I don't ever like assume a brand's gonna send me stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna get on this launch before it sells out, and so I picked this one up, and this has like the new branding as well. Then this is the Honoré, I think maybe is how you say that, but such a beautiful color story as well. I'm just a sucker. I'm a sucker, I have to say. Love that. And then last, this is the Van Gogh, and this is another beautiful like fall palette. So these are the ones I'm really excited for them to continue coming out with. I think they put together interesting color stories in 9 shades, but they still are very workable and wearable while offering like so much. So anyway, that's all my Kailav stuff. Next, I have some Makeup Revolution stuff. So this was all sent to me in PR. First year of some stuff from the Corpse Bride collection. This is, I don't even know the different names of the palettes, honestly. I'm not sure if they even have it, but this is like the butterfly one or the moth, and that's what it looks like inside. I'm kind of a sucker for the outer packaging on this, which isn't my normal thing. Like, I wouldn't have probably purchased this stuff, but since it's sent to me, now that I have it, it's like hard to let go, I guess. This is like the upstairs, downstairs or something palette. I think that's what it's called. So that's what that one looks like. I did a whole video with this stuff as well. And then the other 2 palettes, this is the Newlyweds palette, which is like a blue toned one. And then this one is the Grave Misunderstandings palette, which is more warm toned. So that's all the stuff from the Corpse Bride collection. I also have some of the palettes from the, I don't know, DC collaboration that they did. So this is a 9-pan of the Joker palette. I think that these little 9-pans were actually pretty well done as well. And I think that the quality is pretty decent, especially again for the price. This is the Batman quad, a nice neutral. I mean, look at that yellow in there. I don't know, it just makes it pop. Like, they picked some nice neutral shades to work in here. This is the Harley Quinn palette, which is more pastel, kind of like Y2K, early 2000s. And then last, the Catwoman palette, which is more jewel toned, kind of neutral, but not. And that's all my Makeup Revolution. Again, that was all PR. Next, I have some little 6-pan palettes from Essence. These were all sent to me as one kind of collection. So they have different like kind of monochromatic moments. So first, Coral Me Maybe. This is a little coral 6-pan, really pretty. These are, I need to use them. I know there's like a new one. I just saw that there was like a new one on Ulta. This is Ice Ice Baby, a more blue and gray toned one. This is Dancing Green, and it's more of a green, but all of these are kind of like, there's something about them that's kind of muted, kind of neutral. They're not too poppy, I guess. This is Bronzed This Way, and this one, even for being the bronze palette, there's still kind of something subdued about it. This is I Like to Mauve It, which is like a purpley mauve palette. And then last is Taupe It Up, and this is more of a gray taupe type palette. Not a lot of depth in these. I hope that they do that actually in the newer ones, kind of add some depth, add some richness. But yeah, I still need to use these. We're kind of getting to the nitty gritty. I have not that many groupings left, but a lot of palettes left, if that makes sense. So these are really the palettes and brands that I have a lot of. So next is Kaleidos. These are all PR. So yeah. First, this is the Escape Pod palette. I love this palette. I think this is so pretty. I'm really excited to see what eyeshadow palettes Kaleidos comes out with in the new year. But I think the Escape Pod is just beautiful. In the same packaging, we have Club Nebula, which is also so beautiful. This was in collaboration with Angelica. I'm so glad I got my hands on this palette. Yeah, it's just a stunning one. I think she did such a great job with her collab. I'm like sad. This one was such like a limited edition one. But yeah, love Club Nebula. The one that's kind of different than the others though too is the Flower Punk. This came out in spring last year. Has like that removable top. And I really love this color story as well. I think they just do interesting stuff, you know, and then they have that really flaky formula you guys know I love. So I'm always excited for their stuff. And then that brings us to all my little 6 pans. So many of these. You've probably seen them a million times, but nonetheless, we'll go through them. This is the Electro Turquoise. It took me a second. Electro Turquoise palette. Next, this is the VR Neons palette. I believe this is discontinued or no longer available, but I love that one. This is the Sci-Fi Greens palette. What's awesome about these as well is you can take out the shadow. So they are just magnetized in there. So you can play around, switch things up if you have a couple different ones. This is my favorite one. You guys know, Astro Pink. I just think it's stunning. Let's not try to show me, but I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. This is the Cyber Bronze palette, the more neutral of everything. Although there is a more neutral one. These two came out together in like the same collection. It was like the fresh neutrals, or I don't remember. This is the Sashimi City palette. And that one's really neutral, but also has some really beautiful shimmers in it. And then the Lunar Lavender, which is also quite beautiful too. So that's all I have from Kaleidos. Again, all that was sent in PR, but it's another one of those brands that I know if I didn't get PR, I'd probably have quite a few palettes as well. Second to last, we have ColourPop. I have quite a bit of ColourPop, and I don't get PR from them. So all this was purchased by me. I know, I mean, I can't imagine if I did, because it would be just my whole collection would be ColourPop. It's so much stuff they come out with, but it's still a fair amount. So we have the Misunderstood palette. This is part of the Villains collection. I actually bought this more recently. Not my fave, not my favorite, but that there it is. That's what I have. I have some of these square palettes. So this is an older one, the Brown Sugar. It was in collaboration with Carucci, and I love this one. One of my favorite neutral palettes, like so good, so good. One of the great things about ColourPop is similar to Natasha Denona, like I've mentioned, you can pop these shadows out, and I think that really just lends the brand to being really malleable in your collection. So, you know, you can take these shadows, but I could combine them with Brown Sugar. I combine them with other shadows in the same size, and I think that really just breathes new life into your collection. So definitely something to consider if you have a lot of ColourPop. Anyway, this is the That's Taupe palette. I have that one. I think the last for like the squares is the Going Coconuts, and this one is a beautiful palette too. Really, really happy with this one. Then I have 3 of the like 5 pans. These are also removable, so that's awesome, but they are different like shapes. This is Digital Playground. I actually used this palette as well as New Millennium recently in a video, my last video. So check that one out, but really pretty hot pinks and like kind of, I don't know, baby pinks. This one's more pinky purples, so pretty. This is New Millennium. And then Just a Glitch is more periwinkle. This is kind of like very Perry and mint, but really pretty colors. I don't love the packaging, but you know, we'll get over it. I have 2 quads. This quad is not removable. They are not removable. I love these little quads though. I am like, these are just so tempting. So many of them have glitter, so I won't buy a lot of them, but the new like Zodiac ones, someone stop me. I still like those things. Anyway, this is the Triple Scoop quad. I just think it's so, this is a great one. I really love the little quads. I also have the Hello Kitty. This is like the pineapple cake one, and it's just all yellow, baby, all yellow. I like this a lot. The yellow's a little bit powdery, but it definitely packs a punch. Then I have the Lust for Dusk palette. I really love this one as well. Something about these muted tones I just think is beautiful. I really do. I need to do an exercise like taking all these out and then being able to move them around and create my own color stories from the ColourPop shadows I have. Like, it's on my list, y'all. It's on my list. So that's Lust for Dusk. Then I have the At Forest Sight, but all of them are out of here currently. And this is what I'm talking about. You can just pop the pans out. So I don't have them in here now, but I do still have the outer shell of that. Then we have the Lush Life palette. This one's really quite beautiful too. I think this one has some nice neutrals, but then kind of some pops there. And it's a little more pigmented, saturated than some of the other color stories they do. And then y'all know I just had to do it. This is the Nightmare Before Christmas palette, and I just think this is so cute. I mean, even the cute little like it's for the packaging, really. I like the color story as well. I know a lot of people did not. You know, I think there's something to be desired. I'm so spoiled by some of the indie shadows, but you know, very happy still to have this overall for the packaging. And you guys, I've saved the most for last. I have the most Natasha Denona. Probably no surprise, I saved it till the end so that you guys didn't have to see this like right off the bat. But yeah, I have a shit ton of Natasha Denona, y'all. I more recently this year decided that, you know, it's just one of the brands that, because I can take the shadows out, like I've said 10 billion times, it really lets itself be just so many things. It's like a chameleon in my collection. And so I've started this rule where I'll probably want every single one that comes out, like kinda, but it depends on how much I love the color story initially on if I'll buy it full price or wait for a sale. That's what I've basically decided. So no longer will I say I won't buy any, because it's a lie. That's a lie. Anyway, this is the green brown palette from Natasha Denona. I bought this on Black Friday 2020, and just a really beautiful one, kind of more neutral, subdued. I think this was like a bit before its time in my collection in terms of color story, because, you know, I wasn't as into these neutrals last year, but oh, like the skin shade, I love. One of my favorite colors from her. I also have the purple blue, I think it's called. Another just stunning palette, and I love, again, that I can take these shadows out. I did a whole video taking Natasha Denona shadows and creating like similar quads to the Charlotte Tilbury, so check that video out if you haven't. But yeah, this is the blue purple, I think, purple blue. Next, we'll move into the $129 palette. So I do have the Biba, mine's a little dirty, but this is the like neutral, more matte palette. And yeah, again, this one on its own, I do think it's actually really pretty, but I tend to like more shimmers, but again, as singles, beautiful to build things out. Next, the Natasha Denona Circo Loco palette. Another one that like as a color story on its own, not my favorite, but I love like this orange on its own to pop to a palette as a single. Same with like this green, this kind of maroony red, like this cotton candy pink. There's so much potential in this palette as singles, and again, this is one that's like on sale, I can do it. Same with the Trichrome palette. This one's probably the most surprising to me because I really just wasn't attracted to the color story, and still looking at it as a whole, maybe not my favorite, but individually, there are some very unique shadows to Natasha Denona's line in this palette. Even completely not talking about the multi-chromes that are in here because they are a little bit more subtle, but some of these mattes, just very unique colors. So very happy to have this one. Probably the most prized. I'm so glad I got my hands on this. The gold palette from Natasha Denona. Love, love, love this. So happy that I didn't miss out. I'm really sad because it's like as soon as I was like, maybe I'll get the frickin' Metropolis, gone. Gone. Oh, I'm like, gosh, I can't catch a break. So that's why I'm just like, man, I just need to get on those Natasha Denona palettes. Anyway, now we'll move on to the midi size palettes. I have quite a few of these as well. I got the Midi Love last year, half off, which was awesome. And I've re-put it back together, so it is the actual Love palette. I had to do all that before I even filmed this video. Another one where color story on its own, maybe not my favorite, but I love all the pinks and the purples that this brings as singles. We have the bronze palette. I really actually love the bronze palette. It's pretty one-noted, but I do think it's just stunning. Like, I really do like this palette. Next is the Zendo. I know a lot of people did not like this palette, and having it in person, I think there are some things like maybe not as shimmery or not as great, but I mean, as singles, still really fun to play around with. And then last, this is the Sunrise palette, and it has some really pretty pops in here as well. So I got this one half off. Love getting Natasha Denona half off. That's not it though. I now have some 5 pans. Now all of these 5 pans have come through BoxyCharm one way or another. So this actually came in a BoxyCharm box. And then the other 2 I bought from BoxyCharm for like $9 each. And really why I love these is because you can pop the shadows out of these, and then I can create my own 5 pans, which is just awesome. I did that earlier in 2021 and was able able to travel with it. You know, the shadows are so secure in these. So I loved that. So very happy to have those. And then when it comes to these mini palettes, you cannot take these ones out, unfortunately. These are stuck. They're stuck in there. But I love the minis. I only buy the minis when the color stories speak to me instead of like the other ones, because the pans aren't removable. It just doesn't have that extra bit of life, you know what I mean? So there's no reason to buy color stories that I'm not like 100% on board with. So this is the mini retro palette. I freaking love this one of my favorites. This shade is so sparkly and beautiful. I like love it. I also really love the Zendo palette. I really wish the fuller size Zendo looked like this, but you know, we get what we get. The Love is one that kind of was a sleeper hit for me. I don't know, I just was like, whatever, but I think this is actually a really beautiful little color story, so I love that one. I have the Mini Star, which I think is another really great neutral one with some good party shades. Like, I think the shimmers are beautiful and the mattes are really utilitarian and useful. And then my first ever mini, the Mini Glam, I find this is not nearly as cool as like the actual Glam palette. Even like the bronzes in here kind of pull warm on me, or even kind of green, so yeah, but I do love this one still too. And that's my freaking palette collection, you guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing everything. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for being here, kind of seeing my inventory. You know, it's fun just kind of getting reacquainted with the things that I have. And I'm excited this year to kind of love on it, get some use out of it, continue to like realize what my preferences are, and you know, kind of feel myself out in the stuff that I have. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next video, and other than that, see you then. Bye.